Hello and welcome. You're watching the Tov Jewish News channel. My name is Michael Wilensky, and my guest today is Dr. Gadi Taub from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Gadi, hello. So, Gadi, first and foremost, I want to talk to you about progressive values. And as we all know, progressive values have really damaged Israel and have partially contributed to what has happened on the 7th of October. And first and foremost, how did these values get to Israel? What is their origin, and where do they come from?
They come mostly from Western European and North American influence. I'd say North American mostly, partly because we are so intimate with the American academia, so that if you want to get accepted, and not to mention advance or get tenured in an Israeli academic institution, you usually need uh, academic credentials from America, recommendations from America, and all your publishing should be in internationally acknowledged journals, most of which are American. So there's a whole system in which that turned the American academia increasingly political and increasingly leftist, and this directly influenced Israeli academia, and and there are other forms of American influences. But as American culture and high education became progressive and woke, the influence infiltrated to Israel as well.
So we've all seen the effects of the progressive values for, you know, uh, the approach to Arabs as rational actors, the same as we are. So this is the way we're seeing them, and that has really, has hit us in the face on the 7th of October. Do you see other aspects where the progressive values have hurt us?
Well, all over. What happened with progressivism when it turned into wokeism is that it crystallized into an attack on the fundamental conservative values of society. That is patriotism, religion, and family. So one important way in which it influenced Israel is what we call in Hebrew tzidkat derech, the sense of the moral justification of Zionism has been continuously attacked and shaken. And like other woke ideologies, we see a moral badge of honor in identifying with the predicament of your enemies rather than with your own trouble. And we have gone very far down that road. I think it's this frame of mind that led us to the Oslo agreements, which I once supported, and as you rightly point out, are predicated on the idea that our enemies are just like us, and like us, or like the left in our society, they value above everything else material comfort. And that is not true of most human beings. It is also not true of many Israelis. And it's not true clearly of our enemies, where collective values center around a death cult and the desire to annihilate Israel and kill Jews. And instead of being aware of this, we just imagine them in our own image, or rather in the image of our progressive elites. And therefore, we assume that they are deterred if we can provide them with or help them along the way to economic um, development and higher standards of living. And apparently we were wrong.
Gadi, if we look, at the situation in the world objectively, we can clearly see that many of intellectuals, of progressive, woke intellectuals, are Jewish. And I want to ask you, what makes Jews so susceptible to the progressive woke ideas, to their ideology? What makes us, become the stormtroopers of the woke and the progressive ideology?
Well, I think Judaism contained from the very start a tension between universal aspirations, moral universal aspirations, we call that tikkun olam, and particular identity. And there are various ways to reconcile these two. And Zionism is clearly on the side of protecting Jewish unique identity. But all along our history, and it's easy to see in the modern times, that universal globalist ideologies are very tempting to Jews. This partly stems from what I said, the internal tension within Judaism, but it also stemmed from the Jewish predicament in the diaspora, where the uh, the status of being a minority, often a minority strongly persecuted, has led many Jews to hope that some universal ideal will dissolve the tension between minority and majority. And so this is why Jews were so attracted to Bolshevism in the beginning of the 20th century. And this is why they are also attracted to progressive globalism at this point. And such Jews are I not say enemies of Zionism, but certainly adversaries, because Zionism for them is like pulling Jews back into their particularist, exclusionary, as they see it, conception of themselves, rather than opening up to a rainbow vision of multiple identities, all celebrating the same value of diversity in a global uh, community. So there was always a tension between Zionism and the universal ideals of progressive Jews, and progressive Jews have repeatedly discovered that they have been deluding themselves. That if they uphold universal ideals, they will be accepted like all others. So many of them who supported Uh, academic institutions with their money have suddenly discovered that their sons and daughters are being harassed in these same institutions in the name of the progressive ideologies which they themselves helped support. I might also mention that many Jews are still clinging to those ideologies, and some of them are contributing a lot of money to NGOs which are undermining Zionism in the name of a globalist vision, or the local version of which is a non-Jewish state of all its citizens. So you have things like the New Israel Fund, which is undermining Zionism continuously, um, promoting radical Palestinian NGOs in the name of subverting the horror of Jewish nationhood.
Gadi, from analyzing the modern, the present, I want to go on to analyzing the future and predicting the future. So,
Oh,
as you said in the beginning of the interview, we have problems with America, which is the origin of progressive and woke ideas. And I want to ask you, what should Israel do, both geopolitically? Should we, kind of back off from America and look towards other directions in the world, or to others examples of behavior in the world? And also ideologically, how should we change our own Israeli ideology in order not to allow progressive and woke ideas to slither into our conscience?
well, I think the first way to approach that question would be political, and I don't think we should detach ourselves from alliance with the United States, but we should be much more cautious and less dependent. So we should diversify first and foremost our sources of arms. We should diversify our alliances so that we can weather the storm when there is a woke administration in America, such as the current Democratic administration, the Biden administration, which conducts a foreign policy. We don't often talk about it clearly here. They don't even often talk about it clearly in the United States. They call it in regional integration, but what it really means is appeasing Iran. So the current administration is not just influencing our consciousness; it is conducting a policy in direct contradiction to our most vital interests. And so we should diversify our sources of arms so we can conduct our wars, and also remember not to act like a vassal state. And even when you are a junior partner in an alliance, even when you are the smaller partner in an alliance, you still have room of maneuver. The problem with some of Israel's woke elites is that their fear of the Israeli right has led them to believe that America will take better care of our interests, better than we can ourselves. And so, repeatedly, elements in our security apparatus, including at this minute as we speak, are cooperating with the American plan to return the Palestinian Authority to Gaza on the silver platter, as we say here, of the IDF soldiers who are giving their lives there. And this is based on the belief that the greatest danger, the greatest peril to Israel is Smotrich and Ben Gvir and Netanyahu, and that Uncle Joe will save us. And these people are not even giving themselves a reasonable account of what American policy now is. American policy now is the policy of appeasement towards Iran, and they are continuing now as we speak. So we should be, for one thing, we should be aware of this danger, and we should plan our own actions in accordance to this awareness.
I hope that our government officials just heard what you said, because there are many lessons to learn from your speech now.
I
Dr.
doubt
Gadi
it
Taub.
very much.
Dr. Gadi Taub, it has been an honor to speak to you. Thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you also to all of our viewers that saw this interview. Subscribe to us on all of our social media platforms. And also don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube. Thank you. Have a great day.